And welcome to the second Point Leo Vintage Day, and it's my great pleasure to be talking with Bob Smith. Welcome, Bob.
Fantastic to be here.
Bob, you're a historian with Rip Curl, and you're a great font of knowledge about the Bells Beach surfing competition. Can you just let us know what your role is as historian, and if you have any links with Surf World at all?
Yes, my official role with Rip Curl is archivist/historian. My job basically is to preserve the history of Rip Curl, obviously find old Rip Curl artefacts such as surfboards, wetsuits, also catalogue magazines, catalogues. I have a library system set up and a huge storage area. We get a lot of the Rip Curl historic material out to stores, Rip Curl stores around Australia.
Okay, and how long has Rip Curl been in existence?
1969 is when it was incorporated into a business, but there are actually Rip Curl surfboards that were made from 1967.
Okay, and how about the Bells Beach competition? How long's that been going?
Yeah, well, we celebrated 50 years of the old Bells Beach Rally / Rip Curl Pro in 2011. So, yeah, we're up to around the 53rd year now.
And it's got an amazing history of the Bells Beach site and the competition itself. And behind us, we've got some of the original trophies.
So we have one of Michael Peterson's bells here, and it's actually the 1970 Junior Bell Trophy. And as we know, there's no junior division now, but back in 1970 there was. People remember Michael as the winner of the 73, 74, 75 Rip Curl Pro, but he actually won the Bells Junior Trophy division in 1970. A lot of people assume Wayne won it, but Michael did win it.
And the large trophy you've got there, what's that one?
Yes, that's like a perpetual trophy that gets brought out every year. The winner doesn't get to keep that one. The winner receives his own personal smaller bell. The large one is a perpetual trophy that has all the winners' names put on there, and that resides at the Rip Curl offices back in Torquay. Okay,
and that's this is something we were talking about before, that you can't ring it unless you win it. Is that right?
Yes, that's very, very important. Yes, you must definitely win it before you can ring it.
Fantastic. Now, just going on a little bit about these trophies, who actually made them?
Yeah, well, the first Bell Trophy was made in 1968. There was no actual bell for the first 5 or 6 years of the event. And then it's a little bit unclear who actually came up with the concept, but Gail Cooper and Stan Cooper, her dad, their next door neighbour was a chippy / carpenter, and so they assigned him. I'm pretty sure his name was Joe Kirkham, so they commissioned him to make the first few bells. It was then passed on to Mr. Butterworth, from
Anglesea?
That's correct. His son was a well-known surfer around the coast, and once again he was a chippy, so he was given the job. Fred Pike made a couple, and then around 1977, Joe Sweeney, who put the road in round to Bells originally, he was given the job of making the bell, and he's made them till today.
Fantastic. Now, we were talking earlier also about the road, and I got some very vivid memories of the road going in for Bells, particularly when it was made paved. And can you just tell us when that was done and what were the problems?
Well, we had a big event down there in 1970, the World Surfing Titles that Rolf Arness came out and won, and that was when the road was put through, and also some other major roads leading down into Bells. And it was very, very controversial because Bells was a relatively difficult place to get to, particularly in winter. And a lot of local surfers didn't really like the idea of having a paved road going into Bells. So quite a few of the local surfers actually got together and removed a lot of the peggings and bits and pieces of the road work late at night.
But it went through anyway. It did. Now, just coming up to the future, the present, there's still a lot of controversy about Bells and about the use of the car park. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Yeah, well, Bells is one of those places that everyone seems to want to go to, and so you've had a lot of tourists come down there because of what they've heard about Bells, and because the top surfers in the world come out and compete in the Rip Curl Pro every Easter. So they want to come there, they want to walk onto the beach, they want to put their hand and feet in the water, they want to pick up some sand. So basically what's happened and particularly on a really good surf day, you've got all the surfers' cars there, and suddenly you might have 8 or 10 tourist buses carrying 60 or 70 people, and it can become a relatively dangerous situation in regards to vehicles in the car park. So that's caused some controversy that is hopefully being sorted out.
Yeah, and I know there's also been some problems with overuse of toilets and overflows and things like that.
Yeah, well, I guess that gets down to proper maintenance by the governing authorities. So, and I know those problems have been addressed and spoken about, and once again, we just hope that a correct resolution is worked out.
Going back a bit, Bells was proclaimed the first surfing reserve. Is that correct? And if so, when was that?
We're looking at Stan Cooper, once again, was one of the driving forces behind that, and it came out of the 1970 World Titles, and people started talking about it, and the pristine nature of Bells, the almost a holy grail feel about Bells, and people just thought that it should be preserved for as long as it could in its pristine state. So it all started around the 1970 World Titles, people putting their heads together and talking along those lines.
And is that one of the reasons there's no houses or developments close to the beach?
Correct. Bob Johnson, who I think a lot of people know, owns the 98 acres just behind Bells there. That was the original Bell family land, and there's approximately 97, 98 acres, and that can't be subdivided at the moment, and we certainly hope that it won't be in the future.
Okay, and as far as your role goes with Surf World, can you just fill us in on how you liaise with them on exhibitions and the history?
Yes, I've worked with Surf World for many, many, many years, and one of the delights of working with them has been organising exhibitions. And it's a case of people putting their heads together, coming up with ideas and concepts, what will work, what won't work, what will be visually impressive for the public, while also touching upon the correct historical information. And I guess I'm now in the mature age group of surfers. I've always been a keen historian, kept all my surf magazines, read them from cover to cover. So I guess I'm one of those sorts of people who's built up a fair amount of knowledge and should be passing that information on to the relevant people. And the Surf World Museum is obviously one such organisation that I can pass on correct information to, and help them in various capacities.
Yeah, it's been interesting from my perspective to see the increase in interest in the history of surfing, because it's our history, it's our shared history. And how have you seen that change from, say, the early days of the 70s when it was just something that reprobates did to what it is now?
Yes, we were, I guess, reprobates back then, but enjoying our surfing. And as time goes on, I think we realise that surfing does have a history. I'm really grateful that Rip Curl has recognised that, and I'm able to work with them in that capacity. But just looking around on a day like today, there are so many people here who are only in their 20s and 30s now who are into collecting boards that they grew up with when they were first surfing. So yeah, the whole historical concept in regards to surfing has increased and is increasing more and more. It's great to see.
Okay, I've just run into Teddy Bainbridge, Tidal Wave Ted we used to call him.
Hey Phil, this is a great day. I'm just so stoked to see all these boards over here. Darren Watson say to me that Trigger Brothers board over there is the best board in the place. I'm not sure whether Kenny Remus shaped it. There's a Keogh over here that Bobby McTavish shaped. You've got boards shaped by Don Takayama, there's Hobies. It's just wonderful to see.
And I got my George Lucas board back.
Oh, did you really?
Which is what Cocky and I wrote. Oh. Paul and I have got a picture of us in 1972 in the front doorstep at Chelsea, and it's got my purple board in it. George sold it me for $200, so absolutely
my
fantastic.
memories, I've got many memories of Phil, but I can't say them all. But my one was living at the back of the Trigger Brothers shop in Chelsea, and Phil had come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. Paul and I'd be asleep in our bunks, and next would be the smell of the resin and the finished coats, because Phil had to get them done before the heat of the day. He was a workhorse. Good on you, Phil.
Never stopped. Teddy and I, the first time we surfed a couple of different breaks, Ted used to go and explore all the breaks down the coast, paces that nobody had ever surfed, and we surfed spooks one day, which we used to call singers. Ted named it singers because it looked like an old Singer sewing machine.
Yeah.
It's been eroded now a bit, but we lost the edge of the thing.
It did.
But very, very early days, I don't know, 1970, and we just do all these explorations of the coast.
And we did some weird things. Remember the board you put a Speedo in for me?
Oh, the Speedo, yeah, bells, we were trying to... And the sailboard was the best thing that I remember.
Yeah.
Ted wanted a really coarse deck on it, so I knew that on yachts they put sand down, and I thought, oh, sand's not too bad. I'll try sugar, and sugar wasn't too bad either. And then I found brown sugar, and brown sugar I put on the deck of the board just ripped Teddy's knees to bits. He ran me
Still
up.
got a scar.
So we've done lots of good experiences. Then we went on to form Peninsula Surf Centre with Ted.
Yeah.
We're in that for what, 5 years or something like that, with Harry Hodge?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. We made a movie, Liquid Gold.
A couple of movies,
I
yeah.
found a bit of footage of that too.
Footage of movies, yeah. We're onto that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we did, and Teddy ran, Surf World as well, yeah?
Yeah, and Breakaway magazine.
Breakaway magazine,
yeah, which
God.
we're putting online soon too, by the way. Breakaway
magazine, yeah.
So you'll be able to read all about the old days.
So yeah, we moved on from there and separated a little bit, but we're still
We're still mates in the water.
and we're going to surf. We're going to surf Currumbin one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I surf snapper. Ted surfs Currumbin. So we're going to get together at one of the breaks on the Gold Coast because Ted's up there a fair bit.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay.
And all this area here was just trees, and we used to drive right up to the top of the cliff there, no problem at all. And I remember there was a big tree right here in the front that somehow fell down because it was blocking the view. But anyway, we got into a strife with the Ranger, and but we surfed down here for quite a few years. And just earlier today, a guy asked me, was it true about Molly Meldrum being part of the group? Well, he was for about 2 summers. We all knew Molly was a little bit different, a bit dramatic, but he was all right. He used to come away with us down to Wilson's Prom or whatever, and surfing, and it just went on from there. We used to surf up and down the coast. Really terrific bunch of guys. Unfortunately, a couple of them have passed away. But it went on from then, and the East Coast Board Club was formed and went on to what you know it as today. So, but there was great summers in those early days in the 60s, and we had a tremendous time. Really good. And I think that, there was no crowds. That's right. Yeah.
What happened to Gunnemeter Surf Club, Gasher?
I don't know. Gunnemeter Surf Club? I don't know. Don't ask me any of these questions. I'm not answering anything. Incriminating people.
Actually, had a wild story.
Okay, hang on.
All right, Dash. Yeah, a couple of questions for the boys. I know the East Coast Border Riders were involved in a couple of run-ins down at the Surface. Would that be right, Tony? I hear there was or was that the Suicide Savages? I hear there was some baked beans stuffed in one of the cannons, if I remember right. I don't know if that was true, and I heard that the feds came after you guys. But I also heard in the early days of Suicide Savages, and we got an article somewhere that you guys were the early bra boys, I suppose, the bully boys. Don't go out the point because you get smacked in the face or something like that. Was that true, Dash?
I can tell you, right, but when they faced up to us, we were as weak as piss.
But they never did.
Yeah, but they never did.
They never did.
Never
Okay.
a punch thrown.
Okay.
It was more like just terrorising people.
You've beaten up on a couple of groms. But
Yeah,
anyway.
we just give them a ride in the Mutton Bird's car.
Come back again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, you guys had a bit of a...
body off afterwards.
Had a profile.
You had a little bit of a profile
Yeah.
at that time, but I suppose that all added to the character.
Yeah.
And then when, like you said, when the Savages, I suppose, not disbanded, but faded away, you got a little bit older.
Yeah.
Then the East Coast Board Riders started.
That's right.
Gracie and Kenzie and whatever.
The
And,
other guys. Yeah, they come along.
that was a fairly strong club for a while, and then it sort of moved. A lot of those guys have moved on to the PSC, which is strong now. And there's a number of different clubs down on the peninsula, but the one thing stayed here, the Savages. You still wear that last couple of years ago, you had the signature tops on?
That's right. Now, Johnny Ward right behind us here. He's got an original 52-year-old Suicide Savages. We copied them from the Portsea Surf Club. and we were hated by the Portsea Surf Club. We got in that much trouble.
Now, typically, what sort of length boards were you riding in those days?
Oh, about 9 foot.
9 footers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about 33 pounds is what they weighed. Yeah.
And George Rice, did you get many of his boards that came a little bit later?
I didn't personally. Most of us were going to a guy called Vic Tantor.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was a good board maker.
Yeah.
And a member of the Torquay Surf Club.
Maxie Gill, yeah?
Maxie Gill too. Maxie Gill was another one. Yeah. John Saffron.
Yes.
From down Ocean Grove, wasn't he? Yeah, Ocean Grove way. Yeah,
so when it sort of the shorter board came in, did you guys gravitate to that, or did you sort of give it away, or what?
I was out of it by the time they came in. The business took over.
You were playing lawn bowls by then? Or?
I was, yes, lawn bowls. Yeah, so I was joining the blue rinse set.
The White Shoe Brigade up north. So. Well, look, Dash, thanks for that. And Gacko and all the guys here, Gracie and whatever. It's good to see you down here, and. Obviously stay around for, hopefully we'll have a beer later and have a bit of fun. But once again, you guys are real legends around the area, and it's good to see you turn up every couple of years.
Good on you.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, guys.
Phil. Thank you.
Okay, we've just come down to the Save the Plover tent, and we've got lots of brochures here and things. We've got the hooded plover that we're going to put onto the onto our t-shirts. It's taped onto the bench here, but that's okay. I'll call it that. So it's the hooded plover. That's going to be on a t-shirt pretty soon. I've got Lois here with the with what this is all about, and she'll just explain to us what's happened with it.
That was the breeding season last year, so that's how many eggs we had, that's how many chicks hatched, and that's unfortunately how many survived.
So you can just see how desperate this situation is to get one survivor out of how many?
It would have been 34 chicks.
34 chicks.
Yeah, and so the only one that survived was it going to matter?
Yeah, but even the eggs, I mean, you've got millions more eggs.
No,
and
no.
It's just, yeah, out of 35, we've got one surviving chick. Absolutely crazy. I can't see how we can ever recover it, but we're going to try. We're going to give it a real good try this summer to raise a bit of money and raise a lot of awareness to this cause, because I reckon it's something that we have to do.
Yeah, they're for sale.
Buddy, hey John Jolly.
Daryl, how's things?
Tell us about the Reef Riders Club.
Well,
Guess we started off in 78, 1978. Club run for what? About 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
5 years of run. Kelly Pritchard was involved, Victorian state champion, wasn't he?
Yep.
John was involved, and Robbie was in the club back then.
Yeah.
And I think, 84 we disbanded for a few years?
83.
83?
Yeah, 83.
Yeah.
A few of the boys went and joined the PAN.
Yeah, that's right. A couple went back to Peninsula. Had a couple of Peninsula guys for a while.
It basically got started, I think, when we were living on the corner house, and some of the young guys, could have been Johnny Clatworthy and maybe even Kelly, came around and said that they were a bit disinterested in the Peninsula board riders not doing enough for the young kids, and they wanted to start a club up themselves to help all the young guys.
Okay.
And so we sort of thought, okay, maybe we'll give this a shot. But then Skippy came around and asked us not to start the club up for a little while, hopefully because the PSC would get their act together and concentrate on the young guy with the juniors.
Yeah.
So we gave it 6 months and nothing happened. So then we started the club up.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think there was myself, Ronnie Roosen,
Yeah,
Chris
there was.
Wells.
Yeah.
Sort of, we were the older guys, sort of who got behind and helped things along a little bit. But then all the young guys, like Robbie and Johnny, and
because those boys were in it before I come along. I come along in the late 70s and sort of hooked up with the club. And there was old Bill Brown.
I mean, it's interesting. It's been so long now, and everyone's had, particularly a lot of us have had checkered past, and our memories aren't great. So it's interesting getting the different interpretations of how it started and things like that. And the older guys, you know, who actually started surfing down at First Street will tell you their interpretation. I've certainly got my own. You know, including the Trelaws who had the canteen down there would give us nice wholemeal veggie pies as prizes, and we'd just run heats out the front there in front of the Lifesaving Club. and you know, I consider that kind of some of the start of it in the late 70s.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it was mainly centred around Point Leo.
Oh, definitely started it
in
around
the Point
First
Leo
Street.
Bay area, yeah. Then out to Flinders. We had a bit of an association with the Flinders Board Riders.
I've just got Phil Grace here with me. Phil was actually one of the guys that got us properly into glassing. He glassed boards in our backyard at Mum's in 1968 or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Very early.
69. There's the guy who taught me right there.
George Rice is just around here as well, so he taught Phil. Phil came and helped us out, showed us how to glass boards. I've just got something else here that we've been distracted with, but this is a replica, a mock-up version of what Maxie Bryant did to some guy that dropped in on him. Max was one of Mick Pearce's mates.
Looks very similar to the Machete.
The Machete, it's probably the original one. It's not the original board. This guy actually dropped in on Max and dinged his board, and Mick's brand new Mick Pearce board. Max came out of his car and I was just there, and Phil was there as well apparently. It must have been a good day at the point. And I've watched Max go out of his car, and next thing he's gone back up to the top of the hill, and he's just stood there waiting for this guy to come out. The guy comes up, walks past him, big chop right through the middle of his board.
I heard about that.
Right through the stringer. And then Phil was just telling me that he couldn't get it out because it's jammed in.
Oh, look, that's jammed in
as well. He
He's
couldn't
trying
get
to
the thing
pull it
out.
out.
And Max said to him, "Don't you ever surf here again." That's how he did that. He swung the thing, and we never seen that guy again. But it was absolutely amazing. But that's how Max, and they had a pretty bad name for crowd control. I've actually saw Mick grab somebody in the surf probably a couple of years ago, and he just grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, and he just said to this guy, "Slow down, buddy." This guy was hassling him. He just said, "Slow down, buddy." But anyway, getting back to our original thing, Phil helped us get into glassing surfboards properly, the technique and everything. He also taught me how to paint cars with a paintbrush, swap number plates,
and roller,
and swap cars.
brush and roller.
No need to wash them, just paint over them.
Well, if you had two models the same, I remember I had two EK Holdens. One got rear-ended and the insurance company just gave me the money, but the car was still okay. So I just had a pushed-in boot. So I went and bought another one exactly the same, and I could alternate the number plates. The one with the dented boot, the EK, that was my for work car. And the other one was for taking girls out here. That was the good one.
Oh, okay.
So you just hook the number plates on. And
we copied your...
no policeman watching here, is there?
We copied your expertise on changing plates, and we had two cars on the one plate. We lent one of them to Pretzel. It was, I think he was 17. He was the junior Victorian champion. He went on to win the senior Victorian champion. He drove out the end of Point Leo Road, and the police picked him up, and we drove past on the other side of the road, and we were just killing it.
In the other car with the
other car with the same plate. And because they checked it out, it was one plate was okay.
They didn't have computers in those days, did they?
No, so we had it was a bit of a laugh.
But we had there was a lot of characters, and I remember when I worked with George at Northcote, we had that South African guy glassing Brad.
Yeah.
Brad had the car on hire purchase.
Yeah,
Volkswagen, and the hire purchase guys had come to repossess the car, wouldn't they? And then the word would get out into the back of the factory that the hire purchase guys were, so Brad would go out the back door, wouldn't he? And so they'd try and go and get the car, but Brad made us park our cars bumper to bumper, so they couldn't get the car out. So eventually what happened, well, I think you saw it, didn't you, that didn't they come with some heavies and put them in the laneway?
They certainly did, and two of them come to the front door, so he went to dash out the back gate. But there was already a couple of blokes there.
The Millers were there and they got him.
Well,
and they got the car.
Actually, his name at one stage when I first employed him was Peter Basford.
Right.
And then he changed, he had his name, everyone called him Brad and blah, blah, blah. But he had a few moves, a bit like a handful of bloody snakes in a bag.
Yeah, Bells Beach International model, wasn't it?
Oh,
eh?
yeah, and now I don't want that, George. Where am I going to sell that? I think it was 10 foot. It was like a.
I remember one morning he's come in, and it used to have the 20-litre pails, and they were full of concrete, or half full, to hold them up with the stick and the glassing stand. So one morning he's come in and you've caught him. He's a good glasser, wasn't he? And he used to work on piecework. No time to go to the toilet. Urinate in the bucket there.
Yeah. So you were glassing for George, and you were glassing as well, George. So
no, he was whipping us.
Whipping us.
He was standing there with the big machete and the whip.
Pads I used, and how much tape
But when you were glassing, you said to me a while ago that you glassed 70 boards in a week or something like that.
81 week.
81 week.
Not me. I didn't do them all.
No,
we had 2 glasses.
Yeah, 2 glasses. So
I was one of them, and Randall was doing the night shift.
Yeah.
So that'd have to be the biggest number of surfboards made in Victoria ever.
Yeah.
Because the most we've ever done is 45, I think, when we did a batch of Corona boards. I don't think Chock's done anything like that, and I don't know about that.
And these were all 8 foot, 8 foot.
Yeah, that's what the other thing, and no gloves and no mask. Swimming in gallons of resin. I mean, the boards now are half the size, so you're not using half the amount of resin.
Oh, no, we weren't allowed to use too much resin.
I'm surprised we're all still standing.
The resin sheriff here.
So, did you do a bit of shaping there, Phil, as
no,
well?
No, I
just
didn't.
No,
I was a glasser.
And that's why you're such a good glasser with all those tints in your roller.
Oh, I can't do. I haven't glassed for ages. No, shaping's easier.
Shaping's much easier.
Less fumes.
No, less fumes. Not nearly as much pressure on you as a glasser, because you've got that 20 minutes and that's it.
Yeah. But some funny stories, isn't there, with Brad? Because I remember going in one morning, and you walked in and say, "Morning, boys." Say, "Morning, George." And Brad, "Morning, Brad." "Morning, Brad." "Good morning, Brad." "Come on, George." He was a good worker though, wasn't he?
Well, yes, when he turned up on time.
Right.
Like a couple of weeks off over Christmas, and we start on, let's say, the 10th of January, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't turn up for that week. Then he turns up with a mate and goes into where he's going to start glassing. "What are you doing there?" "Oh, I've come to start work." "No, piss off. You're supposed to be here a week, 2 weeks ago."
We got a new glasser.
Yeah, and he's thrown him. He put on a fit. And Andy, his mate, 2 South African guys these are, and his South African mate comes out and grabs him, and they go outside the factory, and he throws himself down on the ground and all that. And we're all hanging around, and people are coming out of the other factories. He's screaming his head off, and Span just gone, "Go away from him. Just leave him there." So we all walk away, and he stopped.
He stopped there.
No one to watch.
Do you remember the time I worked the day shift? This is when we're doing the 80 boards, and Randall worked the night shift. And I came in the next morning, and Randall, instead of putting the weights that we were using on the board to put the rocker on, he used a bottle of Catalyst, like a big bottle of Catalyst as a weight. But it had fallen off during the night. It had slipped down, and the whole thing, there was a huge pool of Catalyst in the corner. And I said, "Hey, George, what are we going to do about this?" He said, "Right, I'll fix it." So I'm working away, and George goes out into the sanding bay, gets the wheelbarrow, and he shovels.
Shaving bay. It was foam dust.
Foam, or I thought it might have been sanding dust or something. But a mountain of dust it makes this mountain to soak it all up. So an hour goes by, I'm working away. Next minute, I hear this rumble. What the bloody hell? I look over, and this mini volcano starting to erupt.
For the shaving.
And I went over towards it, and it was toxic gas.
Yeah, as it is. Yeah, no,
like you couldn't. And I had to drop tools and run out of the glassing room.
So we nearly lost the whole lot.
And the whole of High Street, Northcote, you remember that?
Yeah.
Fire extinguishers going. We had to evacuate the whole factory.
Yeah.
The whole street, Northcote High Street, was blocked. Shoppers are walking past, coughing. They're all on the other side of the street. There's smoke coming out of the windows.
That is incredible how in those days, and like we had our shop at Chelsea was next door to a butcher shop on one side and a milk bar on the other, and the fumes used to just filter back into those shops, and they often used to come and say, "Oh, your gas is leaking," you know.
Yeah, we got that.
You got the same thing.
When I was in Preston, we had a butcher on one side and a Continental delicatessen on the other side, and in those days you didn't have to go to the council to get the okay to, "Can I make surfboards there?" or anything.
Who was sanding boards up on the veranda on the front deck of the shop? Was that you guys?
Yeah, that's us.
In the main street, you're sanding boards up in the veranda.
You know how the verandas hang over the footpath?
Yeah,
and then there's all the cars going up and down and people walking.
They're sanding boards.
We're sanding boards out there.
Absolutely incredible.
It'll be just like in the main street at Hastings Street at Noosa.
Oh, right, okay. If I don't, I'll do it through the week.
That'll just about
if I get delayed
cheer
a
it
bit.
up because we've lost
I'll see how I
Phil.
go.
Oh, not today.
No, oh, right. Yeah, thing, well, probably not funny for us, but I wasn't there, but it was Paul when the finish coder, who mixed up the batch of finish resin and dropped it down, it's poured, catalysed, poured all over his head. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Had to wash his head in acetone.
Acetone,
Yeah, poured up and then it's jelly.
He wouldn't have any bloody
and he's
head loss.
screaming, and we're pouring acetone all through. Horrendous. And then he had to have his head shaved because it all gelled in his.
No, I don't remember that. But,
health and safety. Health and safety, wasn't it? Yeah.
No such thing in those days.
So how many boards do you reckon you end up making, George, overall?
What's that?
How many boards do you reckon you end up making overall?
Can't hear.
Is
that bloke from the IRS?
They're all dead and buried.
Unspecified number.
Unspecified
the sales tax days are finished. I remember
is that
Paul.
still going?
Yeah, I remember Paul and I.
You're in trouble, mate.
Paul and I.
George Rice. He lives in.
We had 22 boards each. I had 24 actually. We had a contest one year. I had 22 and Paul had 20. No, I had 24 and Paul had 22 boards. And it was. I worked out just recently. The reason why we did so many was to save on the sales tax, because they were personal boards and they couldn't. So we just had all these boards. So every week we do a new board, go down and serve it and sell a second.
The bloody law must have changed by the time you blokes were
I used to count the blanks you bought, didn't you? Paid tax on that.
You bought 80 blanks.
Oh, you got to have 80
I reckon
boards.
you sold 100 boards. Well, how can I? I don't make my own blanks. I've only got 80 blanks. I can't make 100 boards.
We were claiming research and development in the early days.
And that. Oh God, what was that other funny thing I was trying to think? Oh God, it's just escaped me.
You wanted this, Daryl.
I had it before. No, it's just all the funny things that I can remember, the characters or Brad was Jim Pike, the other shaper, Andy. And we used to be on a deal where if George wasn't there, which he never was because he's always playing golf.
Oh, the golf guild.
Right, when the golf came in, you know, it was golf, wasn't it? And so we would get an extra. If we went out into the showroom, the doorbell rang, and then the customer came in, and we took the order. It was $20, wasn't it, or something? $10, which was a lot of money in those days. So we got 10.
Lucky you got 10.
We got 10.
Don't tell my workers that.
So we got 10 for spending our time because we were on piecework for taking the order. So when that doorbell rang,
it was a rush.
I can't go. I got resin on my hands. So the shapers used to get it all, or the sander, because they could down tools.
And go.
So Jim Pike went out, and Jim's gone out, and Jim's a real bloody character. And I remember, so I've glassed the board, and I happened to be walking out in the showroom, and I see Jim. And there's a guy and his wife, and the daughter's quite attractive, and they go, oh well, Mr. Rice, I really appreciate that, you know, all your advice and all your knowledge, and Jim's brought them out and he's showing them in the glassing room, and they go, oh, Mr. Rice, you know, so he's told them he was George Rice.
Taking over your position, George.
And he took the order, and they reckon George Rice was the greatest thing since sliced bread. He was a bloody character.
Well, you know how we just mentioned about I played golf on a Wednesday. Well, this year up at Noosa, Chooka Peak, you know Chooka from Ocean Grove, but he said, I reckon I got one of your boards. It hasn't got a sticker on it or anything, and have a look at it, and it's stringless, so it's made 68, 69 or something. I'll have a look at it. Definitely fin, and the weight of fin was glass, and the rail laps and all that sort of stuff. It hasn't got a mark on it. I've gone, well, that's definitely one of mine, and I can tell you when it was made. Fair income, can you? Yeah, it would have been made on a Wednesday, because that's when I play golf.
So the stickers...
Who would have that been? Maybe that was Randall, it wasn't me. God.
When my brother and I think about 14 and 16, we want to go surfing. We lived at Montrose, so it was a bit of a problem. So anyway, we got the 2 boards. That was
absolutely massive, isn't it, George?
Yeah. But we're all, with all due respect,
you were geared to do it though.
We were geared to do it. All the blokes were experienced.
Yeah.
You know, they'd been working for 2 months or something. They all they were all taught terrific.
Yeah.
You know, and,
well, it was pretty good in those days because we could work our butts off in the summer. If the surf come up, we could take a bit of time off and go surfing.
Yeah.
And then winter, you'd go to Queensland or something with all the money you made in that because it used to pretty much shut down over the winter, didn't it?
And
nothing.
You
And then you got the big idea of blowing up the balloons and wrapping the wool around the balloon and then making resin and then
light
shades.
Well, we're all in vogue again.
They'll be back.
I used to go to Coles.
Hundreds of money.
There was a Coles store down the road, and I used to buy boxes of these beach balls. They were, you know, and I'd had my mother-in-law and her neighbours, all the old Sheilas, and next door where we had the shop, that's in Northcote, was a knitting mill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I used to get all the
wool,
cotton reels of wool.
So you wrap them all up. Yeah, we made them as well.
And I had all the old Sheilas winding them, all different colours, and I'd pick them up today and drop them off some more.
Classic.
So you, just getting back to the boards, away from the lights, you were the guy that started the extra stickers on the bottoms of the boards too. Originally, everybody just had one sticker, mainly down the tail of the board.
Yeah.
And George was the first guy to actually put a sticker on the bottom of the board. Double his outlay on decals, but just something really different, and nobody else had done it.
Increase the advertising.
Yeah, just you know.
Well, I was working in my garage at it, and I thought, you walk along on the beach, and actually Lorraine sort of twigged it to me. If you walk along the beach, I go, oh, that's one of my boards there, and that's another, because you could tell by the fin shape.
Yeah.
You know, we all had similar, but had our own little.
Yeah, your own templates. Yeah.
And I thought, and everyone had their boards like that with the fin up, so the wax wouldn't get soaked.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll put a fucking decal on the bottom.
Yeah.
And Woodsy come down to see me, and I'm, because I was just starting to buy his blanks, and he's coming over, what's this on the bottom here? He said, well, when you see a board on the beach, what do you see? You see the bottom of it, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, I've just got Chris Cornell here, and we've just got a collection of his old boards.
Hi, Phil.
Very good to see you, Chris.
See you too, champ.
Just before we get started on the boards, I just want to get a bit of his history as to where he started making boards. One of the treasured boards that I was trying to get hold of was a ocean foil shaped by Chris in Watt Street, Hastings. I don't know when you
it was on the main drag on Watt Street, Watts Road or something like that. Yeah, in Hastings.
And it had your name on it. I saw it. I thought, oh, I've got to get this board because I love the connection between you and ocean foil. Was that where you first started shaping?
No. I first started making boards in Baxter. My brother, he was playing in a rock and roll band, and the lead singer had a balsa wood board, and I really started on an ochre board, but gave me this balsa wood board. I thought, right, I can't carry this thing, it was way too heavy, so I thought, look, I'll cut it in half and I'll make 2 boards out of it. So I proceeded to cut this beautiful, it's probably worth like $1 million now, cut this beautiful balsa wood board in half, shaped it down with a metal Sherform blade.
Yeah, so how old were you then?
I think I was about 9 or 10.
Oh, jeez, okay.
And I've shaped it up, gave it a few coats of paint so the water wouldn't get in on one of them, and I painted that one purple and pink. Then the other one I did flowers on.
Right.
But the pointy end of the board worked better than the back end.
Okay.
So I couldn't get any nose lift into the back end of the one I cut in half. But, so that's where it started from. And
so what year was it? What did they do? And then we can work out.
Are we allowed to discuss our age here?
Yeah, then
okay. Well, I've just
age.
had my 58th birthday, so take it back. I'm no good at mathematics. I was 8 or 9 at the time.
So
it was a little tiny cottage my father lived in.
50 years ago.
Yeah. Well, 50 years ago.
Yeah. So that's I don't know, maths. 2000. I don't know.
They were the beginnings.
Yeah,
the seed was sown. And look, I had a couple of hiatuses there where I bought, I bought off Johnny Wilson, who Mick Schaefer making boards at Oliver's Hill. First real sort of fiberglass stuff. Got a board off George. Don't know how I came across that one, but had a fiberglass board off George Rice, a rounded pintail. But I just wanted to make boards. I just loved it. It was in my blood. I would be in class and I'd have like a little cutout surfboard made of cardboard with sticky tape stuck to my fingers, and I'd get the corner of the book and I'll be in there, like making a wave out of the corner of the algebra book, like surfing along inside that.
So where was this? Where were you?
This was at Peninsula Boys Grammar School.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were living in Baxter.
Right.
When I got a real job, well, my father said, you can leave school if you come and work for me. Dad had a bad back. Cut a long story short, 6 months into the apprenticeship, I was making surfboards with Keith Robinson. That was in Macrae. First paycheck was $42 for a really big week's work. Yeah, hasn't changed much these days. But Keith was a hard taskmaster. Some people liked him, some people didn't, but he was a craftsman. His boards, he's probably going to hear this, maybe, I don't know, weren't that good at performance. I had the ideas about how to make it, but I just didn't have the skills. And he helped me hone my skills. I have a lot of respect for him. And he put the planer in my hand, did a lot of different things, and just showed me from day one how to, take your time and make a board. Look symmetrical and then, the performance side of it sort of came into that later on.
Atlas at Pines, just a little side note here, is named after Keith Robinson. That was his nickname, and apparently the guys in the Suicide Savages thought that they called it Atlas after him because he's always away from the group, and that's how Atlas actually got his name. So.
Well, wasn't he ostracised from going to Pines? He was actually...
Oh, they banned him. That's why he was
They said, you go over there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I can imagine them doing that.
It was a bit of a...
Because they were forceful people.
Well, yeah, they said, you can go over there, you're not over here, because he was a goofy foot.
Yeah. So you got shaping with him, and then you moved to Queensland, or?
Yeah, after a little while, I went for holiday to Noosa Heads. I think I was like 15 or 16 at the time, and I came back. I told Mum and Dad about Noosa Heads. I said, God, it's bloody beautiful there. Anyway, cut a long story short, that was actually 15 years old. But came back, and about when I was 19, Dad went up there with Mum. And they bought a block of units and said, we're going to Queensland.
Right, so you moved up there. Yeah.
I've gone, gee whiz, that'll be tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was really like, where I got my teeth stuck into the foam, had my own little setup. Yeah, it was awesome. And Dad gave me the double garage down there and the units. Yeah, so right on the beach,
making boards yourself, or? Making
boards myself. Then I got a buddy of mine to come and help me glass them.
Yeah.
Because the interest sort of got stronger. There was, I suppose in a way, when I first got there, being a Victorian in Noosa Heads, I was a bit of an undesirable.
Yeah.
Because they thought that Southerners were coming into the area to just rape and plunder and whatever. And it took them a while to sort of warm to me. I think 5 years went by before the really staunch locals kind of said, hi Chris, I'd be in the pub having a drink and...
You're accepted?
Just accepted. I mean, as far as the pecking order went out in the water, I just picked up the scraps. Yeah. That was basically what I just got what they... Yeah, I was happy with it. But I had, we started making, single fin stingers in those days, got into the twin fins, and the manufacturers up there like Darrell Dell Rooster was making these beautiful single fins. They were marvellous in a straight line. And he's going to probably hear about this. You go to put them on their rail and do a turn, forget it. I mean, the guy should have been living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Mine were like round, tight turning radius turns, twin fins, and I put lots of colours on them. I always thought the idea that chrome sold, even though the surfboard might be a little bit sort of unsymmetrical. If they look good, they're going to go good. It's psychological. A board looks good, it's under your arm, you feel...
Feels good, looks
I'm
good.
going to go out there and do okay, yeah. So Yeah, and I ended up making, like, I had to go and get her into a factory because I couldn't keep on making them in my father's place.
Yeah.
Kevin Platt sorted that. He said no, just dobbed me into the Shire and toxic fumes going over the residential area.
So you moved into factory?
Yeah. With my brother who was doing, he moved to Queensland and he was doing automatic transmissions. I got the front part of the factory, set it all up, and it just went gangbusters.
Right, okay.
Twin fins.
When I saw you I'm moving on down to the Gold Coast, you were down there working for Derby, or?
Yeah. Well, I'd gone from running my business in Queensland. I kind of ended up making like 15 to 25 boards a week.
Oh, that's a lot of boards, yeah.
It's a lot of boards for a young guy who doesn't know how to manage money and is still discovering girls and fast cars. I kind of just went, no, I'm going to go away. So I sold my business and went to the States for 18 months. Just travelled around, went surfing, snow skiing, chased girls, drove fast cars. Came back, had no money. Mum and Dad had moved from Noosa down to the Gold Coast, so back and live with Mum and Dad again. Yeah, and at what age that was, Steve, in my 30s. Anyway, and started working with those guys down there.
Yeah.
But I got to the Gold Coast, and every guy on the Gold Coast wants to be a shaper.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
No one wants to be a glasser.
Yeah.
So I thought, what do I know how to do? Went to the first place. Any work? Oh, yeah, any glassing? Oh, okay. I'll glass, that's fine. Went to the next factory. Oh, any work? Yep. Glassing, yep. So I glassed for Derby, Hot Stuff, Islander Classic, and Pipe Dream.
Right, okay.
25 boards a week glassing.
Right, gee.
Because no one else wanted to do it.
Yeah, it's a daggy job.
But and the only boards I managed to shape with my own ones.
Yeah.
So shaping sort of got put on the back burner for a while there, but that's all right.
So then you moved back down here, or?
Then I met a girl from Rye. Fell in love.
Yeah.
Got married, had children, and just came back to where I started from. A lot of people say don't go back to where you've sort of been, don't backtrack. But I thought it through, and really the best friends I've ever made in life have been Victorians, and I don't know, just being back in Victoria, it felt right.
It's like you've been home.
Yeah, it does. I felt welcome back in, and you know, I didn't get really back into the manufacturing of surfboards at all. From then, that became just a distant sort of
on the fish shop stuff.
Yeah, I started cutting the heads off fish. That was about it. And that's kind of what I'm pretty good at now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my planer. I've got a little shaping room on my property, and getting into that shed and just picking up the foam. It's so therapeutic. It's like having a solo surf at one of your favourite breaks. You kind of you're out there. You don't really think about much at all. There's no mobile phones. And the same with shaping. I'll spend 2 days shaping one board.
Right.
I just love it so much. Yeah. And I reckon I make a better board now than I ever have in mine when I was trying to make it for work.
Yeah. I notice when you surf, you catch little waves, big waves, anything. Like me, you like to fill in the time and catch as many waves as you can. Yeah.
Okay, you're a few years older than me, but you're really it's a mindset of how old. You don't think about your age.
No, that's right.
You go to bed thinking about surfing. You wake up in the morning thinking about surfing.
Yeah.
You eat surfing, and I'm exactly the same. We're no different.
Yeah, but there's not many. There's a lot of people like Cocky will sit out the back and he'll wait for that perfect wave. And I would have had 5 waves in the time that he's done it.
Oh, I can't sit around.
You're the same.
Oh, I can't sit around. No. I'm hungry. I've just got to have. Not quite as hungry and as
as bad as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the day at Pines with Steve. Okay, we'll leave that one alone then.
Leave that one alone. Now, what I really like about your boards is that you keep every board that you've made, and now you're keeping your son's board as well. And you've just got to step up from them all, and everything's written down here.
Well, I've got to write it down because I can't remember it.
How you've chosen to improve a board, and what you've done to improve, and how it works and how it doesn't work on the next lot of boards. So, to me, this is just unbelievable. And I was just so impressed last time. I didn't have a really good look at it, but this time I've seen it. And it's
well, take this little baby here, okay? It's it looks the goods. It should really, but a little bit weighty. But it's just, I don't know. One of those boards I just can't. It goes good when it's offshore, but I just can't. I had to cut a bit of it. I just couldn't get it to go straight up and down as much as I can get it to go straight up and down these days.
So your next one you try to improve.
Hey, can you turn the V8 down, please? We're trying to talk here. Only way, otherwise you have to do a big burnout for us, okay, Simon?
Any one we know.
Yeah, that's your son.
Yeah, I know.
Right. This one here was a find. That was a ripper. The guy actually, I got it off, was surfing it out at Central Avenue. I was paddling out. It was one winter's day, and I looked at this guy. It's one of my old boys, Lisa. Anyway, it took a lot to prize this out of him. I gave him 2 boards.
2 boards?
I gave him 2 boards.
Yeah.
Mind you, 2 boards I didn't really like that much, but I gave him.
But you got one back.
I got it off. I got it off. So that was made. That was made in the garage at Mum and Dad's place in Noosa. This guy here, I've just acquired it 2 years ago. Saw it out in the water. Couldn't believe it. This guy's paddled out beside me at Central Avenue. Looked at this guy. I've got to have it back. I just haven't seen any of my old boards around, especially this one which made in the garage at Mum and Dad's place at Sunshine Beach in Queensland. A little bit of a short story on it, but he's found it in some kid's yard, just riding it. It had glass hanging off it, so I wonder if he didn't lacerate his fingers when he was riding it, but grabbed it. Just great memories of, you know, what I was doing and where I started from in Queensland with surfboard manufacturing. This one here is this guy was still surfing it again out at Tiber Street. Came along and said, "I got one of your boards, Clint," and he was still actually surfing. He's got sort of fresh wax job on it there.
Didn't one as well.
Didn't really make a lot of these round. It's weird. I made a lot more swallowtails, or fishtails, we want to call them, than these roundtails, and all I've done is accumulate these bloody roundtails. So, yeah, but these, I made heaps of these things. More, I can't even remember how many I would have
So was
made.
that one of your own boards as well, yeah?
None of these are my own.
Oh, okay.
I've got one twin fin from the old days of my own. There are, however, in Queensland, guys that have got them and have hung on to them.
And they're hanging on to them, they won't give them back?
No, well they said if I come up I can get them, but I've got to return them. But
That's why I've been so lucky with my boards. I've had 4 back that I shaped in the 70s, and that one from George is one of them, yeah.
Oh, that's a treat, and it's a good looking board with all the pin lines on it.
How lucky is that, yeah.
So now I've gone through, that one there is fairly recent, that's what I ride now. I still ride a shorter board. I just, after the first surf, I had it like as the thruster. First couple of waves, I was going, oh, this is a pig. Went on the beach, it was at Balnarring. Put the quad fins in it, paddled out. It was just a whole different board, and I just loved it. I've ridden it all over the place. Thailand, Queensland, all around here. It's not that good in my backhand. It's a bit too wide in the arse on my backhand, but I just had to stop riding it because I thought I'll destroy it. I just want to keep it. It's a ripper. So I went to this one over here. That's what sort of off thrusters. This one here. Now, what year were you in? 2014.
Yeah.
This is the one I still ride today. 2011.
So 3 years old, yeah.
I've worn it out. Phil's actually been a good enough guy to repair fin plugs for me when I haven't had the time to do it. It's got numerous collapses.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
The deck's gone here. There's a bit of
the
QSL
plugs were
under
coming
there.
right through the deck. Yeah.
It looks like a relief map of the Himalayas.
Yes.
It's copped a beating, but it's just a ripper.
Still your favourite board?
Oh, you know what it's like. You just come across one, you just can't get off it. Keep on going down.
And the colourful ones down here are his son's board.
Yeah, these are my son
Chris
Harry.
made him keep those as well. So how good's that?
Harry wants this one back though, because he just dinged it up a little bit. This is, you know, contemporary sort of stuff of what they ride these days.
And he does the artwork
concave.
himself? Your son does it?
No, I do all the artwork.
Oh, you do all the artwork, okay.
Do all the artwork myself. My son, he's not that artistic.
He just rides them.
Artistically, yeah, he wants to just go surfing and skateboarding.
Good stuff.
And yeah, so yeah, still doing them. I mean, all hand done. No machines, no shaping machines. Just do it all by hand. I do get ideas from, you know, watching surf videos and stuff like that to as different plan shapes go like that. Longboard, wouldn't have a clue what I'm doing there, and that thing doesn't turn to safety. No, I haven't really quite succumbed to the longboard era yet. I mean, I know Phil. He'll ride whatever he's put in his hands, but these. I don't know. What am I doing wrong here, Phil?
I don't know. Thruster.
Yeah, that's probably what I've got to do. Yeah, I don't know.
You need just to put two more fins in it and maybe drop the middle one down. Drop your middle one down. Well, it's not that big.
Yeah. Here, wait, this one here. This is a much more contemporary sort of board. 6'2½", 19¾ It's more of what guys in their 40s would ride, I suppose. I only take it out when it's over head high. I try to cheat as much as I can with the shorter boards. I just love hot doggy boards. But anyway, don't know how much more you guys would like to. None of those ones of mine. Would like to know. Probably used up my.
That'll just about do it then.
Yeah.
Great to
Thank
see
you very
boards
much for watching, and
yeah.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to show off my wares.
No, I love them.
Thanks,
Love your boards, and the collection's fantastic.
Bye.